Most of my friendship with Grace has taken place in Vermont. And I don't know that that state will ever recover from the loss of Grace. I won't. I'm going to read some poems she wrote. These are from her new book, which is going to come out in March, Fidelity. And then I'll read one from collected poems. Before I was nobody, I was me. After I was nobody, I was me. I wish I could have rested in me a little longer. There was something I was supposed to tell, but it isn't allowed. These poems are a kind of a history of her life just before she died. I'm going to read the title poem, Fidelity, now. After supper, I returned to my reading book. I had reached page 140, 220 more to go. I had been thinking that evening as we spoke early at dinner with a couple of young people of the dense, improbable life of that book in which I had become so comfortable. The characters were now my troubled companions. I knew them, understood I could re-enter these lives without loss, so firm my habitation. I scanned the shelves, some books so dear to me. I had missed them, leaned forward to take the work into my hands. I took a couple of deep breaths, thought about the acceleration of days. Yes, I could re-enter them, but no, how could I desert the other whole life, those others in their city basements, abandonment? How could I have allowed myself even thought of a half-hour's distraction when life had pages or decades to go? So much was about to happen to people I already know and nearly loved. News. Although we would prefer to talk and talk it into psychological theory, the prevalence of small genocides or the recent disease floating toward us from another continent, we must not. While she speaks, her eyes frighten us. She is only one person. She tells us her terrible news. We want to leave the room. We may not. We must listen. In this wrong world, this is what we must do. We must bear it. And here is a poem called Let the Day Go. Who needs it? I had another day in mind. Something like this one. Sunny green, the earth just right, having suffered the assault of what is called torrential rain, the pepper, the basil sitting upright in their little boxes, waiting, I suppose, for me, Also the cosmos, the zinnias nearly blooming a year too late. Forget it. Let the day go. The sweet green day, let it take care of itself. I hope that Bob Nichols will read a bit more from that book. And here's, from me, finally, a book, a poem called Here. Sorry. I have, in the readings I've given in the last year or so, I've always begun with this poem, Here. Here I am in the garden laughing, an old woman with heavy breasts and a nicely mapped face. How did this happen? Well, that's who I wanted to be. At last, a woman in the old style, sitting stout thighs apart under a big skirt, grandchild sliding on off my lap, a pleasant summer perspiration. That's my old man across the yard. He's talking to the meter reader. He's telling him the world's sad story, how electricity is oil or uranium and so forth. I tell my grandson, run over to your grandpa, ask him to sit beside me for a minute. I am suddenly exhausted by my desire to kiss his sweet, explaining lips.